Okay.
So did you guys get your financial assignment done?
I mean, we've had it done since we were going to do it to begin with. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, is you there, Lonnie?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, buddy. Um, what did you guys learn by looking at everything in the black and white format?
He said, "Would we learn by looking at everything in a different format, honey?"
We I learned that a lot of money between Jamie and I are spent on food outside of the house.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, it's because I either don't have anything to bring to work consistently, or you know, for breakfast or lunch. I usually eat dinner at the house or come home and don't eat or whatever. It just depends on what we have at the house and how late I get back.
Yeah.
But I would say that a good portion, and we've cut down a lot on going out to eat as a family so much, with having Aiden who wants to order, opens up the menu, sees the most expensive thing, and that's what he insists on getting, and 2 appetizers. Or myself, wanting to get an appetizer to share with the family or whatever, add on. And then just, Jamie mostly for so long didn't normally take anything to work with her. And she would get something on the way, something on her lunch break, something on the way home. And, every day that adds up.
Yeah. So you guys have cut back on those expenses, you said?
Yes, we've cut down majorly on those expenses.
The batteries in the remote.
So how has that worked out then?
Good.
So
Really
you guys
good.
a little more financially free?
I mean, I don't know if I'd say financially free, but we're
Less
paying our
stress.
bills, so that's
Yeah.
good. Less stress, definitely.
Okay. So the whole project and the changes and modifications you made has worked out for your benefit.
Well, what it's doing is giving us an eye opener as to where the money's going. And then we also discovered, as far as looking at our bills and stuff, a lot of times, whether it be Christmases or whatever, we end up robbing Peter to pay Paul to get stuff for Christmas and everything, and birthdays, and everybody else in the family who has kids, and and couple my family member, my uncle, I told you about, helping out and stuff. A lot of times with hey, Sophie, cut it out, please. Get up there on the couch. A lot of times, sorry about that.
You're fine.
A lot of times we've essentially had to rob Peter to pay Paul, and then communications between Jamie and I thinking one thing, or she's told me and I was overwhelmed or didn't hear her fully, but certain things have gotten behind, and so now we owe a certain amount, and we're on a pay period or whatever the case may be. So it's just lingering stuff added on top of the every upcoming due date.
Mm-hmm.
That ends up being an issue as well. A lot of times I think something's paid and we're on par with it, and then we weren't. So
okay. So
we're
have you
trying
guys
to work on that as well.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was going to ask, to make sure you guys have come up with some kind of a system to where you're communicating about the money. So you guys are doing that?
1 second, John. Yes, but if he's playing with his toys in there and he slips and falls, that's a tile floor, and there's a bed in there with no mat. There's a bed frame, no mattress, no nothing. He trips on that, falls, and gets hurt, and we can't see him from here. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. You're good. So you guys have started to communicate more on the finances. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, we're trying to communicate and get to a point. I want to try to implement that. One person pays, or both of us know and have something to look at that I can reference, that I know when I'm out on the road, this is paid, that's paid, this has been paid, this is due, so that I don't get a phone call, hey, we should pay this and pay that. And then meanwhile, something that's more important. That's where my stress is at. You know, not stress as in I'm stressed out, but I mean, I stress the fact that mortgage, car payment, and insurance are so far more important than, you know, internet and all this other stuff and phones and whatnot. I mean, we can survive if that gets shut down, as long as we've got these things under control, have it set to where it's only current stuff coming, and then go and do those things.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of times it comes up where, oh, we have to have this and we have to have that. And I'm like, yes, but then we're neglecting this, and this is a problem. So we have gotten to an understanding that from now on, the main things, I don't care if people upstairs start complaining because, or when they move down here, that the cable is off right now or whatever. Well, pay your rent on time so we're not paying it and, you know, don't have the money there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
So who pays the bills every month, or do you guys separate it?
well, Jamie mostly pays the bills. There are a few bills that I can pay directly through my bank account and have them taken right out.
Mm-hmm.
But she has communication with a bunch of the companies and, you know, barters with them and finagles with them and does whatever she's doing. So
So do you guys know or have I guess you have a unified bank account, is that right?
not now. We did have, but I got rid of that bank. We were telling you about how they were charging like a courtesy fee of $25 every time a bill got paid through my account.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they have a lawsuit going against them right now for it. So, you know, I mean, I had been with them for so many years, and they were like the top credit union around. And now they've just been doing everything they can to just take your money from you, pretty much. So, and then constantly you can't get in to look at your account because it's always down, because supposedly they're working on it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had to get away from them. And now that I'm over at the credit union through the VA, I have to submit the paperwork for us to get a joint account,
Okay.
if they even allow that. But
So
Jamie has an account, and here that's local, but right now we don't. And that's just as of like the last couple weeks.
okay. Okay, so let me ask you this then. If you guys have an account, let's say it's going to go to joint eventually,
Mhm.
how do you handle it? She takes care of most of the bills. You pay some other bills directly. How do you handle it if there's something that you want for, like, say, $50? Do you go to her because she mainly manages the banking account and say, hey, are we okay for me to do this? Or do you just do it?
No, we'll just switch that around. If it's Jamie who needs money, then she'll ask me to send her money or Venmo her money or something. Or can she just use my card, or, you know, pay for it through my card or whatever.
Okay, so you guys communicate with whoever's managing and keeping an eye on the bank account. You communicate before you spend money. That's
Right.
not in the norm. Is that correct?
Yes, for the
Okay.
most part, unless it's just going to get food because she'll be
Well,
on her
sure.
break or whatever,
Well, that's
you know,
expected
or
though,
what,
right?
or her money that she has if she goes and buys something or does something, not typically talk about it, you know, or myself if I, you know, purchase food on the road or I buy something that I need. Not always, no. I typically go by the whole thing. If we have enough money and the bills are being taken care of, you know, if either one of us need to go and spend some money or whatever, it's whatever, you know. But If what you're trying to ask is there a total account of everything that we make, and is there an opportunity for someone to spend money without discussing it? Yeah, there is.
Yeah, that's where you can get yourself in trouble, you know, anything that's out of the ordinary. I mean, you're used to maybe her getting food during a work break or whatever. You guys are used to that as long as it's accounted for. I'm just talking about just random. One of you are out doing something, and let's say that you, Lonnie, see a really cool pair of tennis shoes that you thought, man, I'd like to have those. $70. Do you say, hey, Jamie, do we have it in the bank account, or vice versa?
No.
Okay. That's where you get in trouble. So I would encourage you guys to be on the high communication. Just too much communication is better than not enough. So I mean, the way I would do it, because this is the way I do it, one person manages the bank account, pays all the bills. And the other person knows everything going on and is accountable to that and communicates before spending anything dramatic. You know, like I said, groceries and food, as far as breaks, whatever, that's one thing. I'm talking about additional stuff. So that's just the way that I think is a good way to handle it. So you're both involved and accountable to each other. Sorry, I'm not feeling so good today in my throat, and I'm exhausted, just to be upfront.
That's okay.
Yeah.
If you need a break, we understand. I mean, I don't think it would, as far as discussing finances, I don't think it would be a full session.
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure you guys are getting some streamlined ways of handling money so you're not stressed out every month. You know, one thing I always say, and you know it, do what you have to do, then do what you want to do. And you kind of said that about paying everything up front. That has to be done, and then you worry about everything else.
Yeah, that's how I like to be, but
Yeah, well, that's the way it should be. That's the proper, responsible way to handle it. And you don't go out like I love certain things. I don't know. I don't know. I'm too mentally drained right now to come up with a good example, but you get the point.
right.
Kind of like do what you have to do as a parent before you go out and do what you want to do. Just being responsible. So communication and not making sure you don't overspend and communicating about that is pretty vital. So am I making any sense, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So anything else going on since, I mean, is there anything about finances you guys want to ask me about, or do you have any other input?
No, I mean, it's just we have a process that we're trying to come up with, and and then try to get a joint account at my credit union.
Mm-hmm.
That Jamie can have a card to and access, so that when I'm on the road or whatever, she can handle certain bills. And so on, and just getting an understanding between the two of us, what's the most important to be paid first, and being able to sacrifice on some things if we don't have it right now, and unfortunately, there are all different due dates, right? So, every time you're just about to get ready to pay one thing, something else comes up before it. And in my mind, it might not be as important. And, we have to be diligent and just.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Let me give you a little tip. And I don't know if you know about this. I'm assuming you do. I don't want to insult your intelligence, but if you've never heard of this, let me tell you, it works. How about, okay, so you put your total monthly finances together, come up with your monthly total. Okay. Have you guys ever thought about getting a credit card with the cashback percentages?
Yeah, but there's nothing around here like that. Like,
well, Bank of America has it. I've got one. Bank of America. Here's how I do this. There are only one or two bills I do not have charged on my credit card. And that way, the due dates are irrelevant. Trying to get the cash sorted out week by week by week by week is irrelevant. Every bill I have, almost every bill I have, my gas bill, my electric bill, my cable bill, let's see what else. My gosh, whatever, I'm telling you, I'm mentally zapped. Most of my bills, I should say it like this, other than my garbage bill, my water bill, my mortgage, and one other bill, my house insurance, are all on credit card, other than those four things. If you can,
Wow.
if you can find a credit card, listen to me, you will love me for this. Find a credit card company. Bank of America has one called the 321 card, or the 123, whatever. Every purchase you make gets you a refund. So here's what I did. When we did our backyard project last year, I had that card. And you can change your categories for 3% cash back. Every quarter, it's up to $2,500 for 3%. So when I bought the wood for the deck, I changed my 3% category to home remodeling. I bought all that wood and I got 3% back on the $2,500 I spent. So I got $60 on that one transaction. Now, per quarter, you can only spend up to $2,500 and get 3%. After that, it drops to 1%. I did that along with all of my house bills. We go out to eat, I do it. Anything that we do is usually on that card. In about 13 months, I had $1,000 in cash rewards.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I used it as a credit statement for vacation, for going to the Christian music festival, all that stuff. I added it to my bank or my credit card statement. I called them up and I said, transfer my money as a statement credit. So it took off nearly $1,000 off the balance of my credit card. Not only that, you've got one due date per month. You pay the statement balance and you don't get charged interest. So from the time that your statement starts until it ends, all of those transactions, if you pay it in one single check, you don't get charged interest for that balance. It makes
Right.
everything so much easier.
So do you just have all of your bills set up to automatically be paid with that card?
Correct. My car insurance, my electric, my gas, life insurance policy, my cable, YouTube TV, my internet, all of that stuff. I don't write checks for those. They're automatically taken. My cell phone bill is another one. So everything that I have on that credit card, I just pay one single payment every month. Takes care of eating out, takes care of gas, takes care of groceries, takes care of the electric and all of that stuff in one payment. So now you're not scrambling. Oh man, I forgot about this. Now I've got to, man, this week's check's not going to make it. Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore. And then you get cash back on what you spend. There are some cards. Yeah, there are some cards that have unlimited 1.5% cash back. Bank of America has the 321 card. Like 3% right now is online shopping, 2% groceries and gas, and 1% everything else.
Yeah, that's a great idea to look into. I don't know what our credit card limits would be right at this moment, but
Well, the great thing about it though is you can save that money before, like when I was bowling in these national bowling tournaments, I would never cash out my money until it was time for the national bowling tournament. And I'd have at that point, $500-600 on it. That paid for my hotel to go bowl. So I basically got a free hotel by doing it like that. All I had to do is pay for it to get there and eating.
right, that's awesome.
So that's something to look into. Makes your life
Most
easier
definitely.
and you get money back. It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
You could use it for Christmas, the cash back for Christmas. You know, use the card all year long and then start charging the credit card for gifts. And then December, whenever your payments coming up for that particular statement and you put all that Christmas stuff on there, just give it a statement credit and it'll reduce your balance. So it practically pays for your Christmas shopping. So a lot of different things you can do with it, but I would, yeah, do that. Cause when I hear you guys talking about having to pay this first and have to pay this first, and then if you don't have enough money for this, that's done away with because it's charged on your credit card anyway.
I guess neither of us have really ever had a credit card with that big of, you know, a limit, have we, Lonnie, that would allow us to be able to use it to pay our bills like that. So that's definitely something to look into for sure.
Yeah. And there's,
We
like I
were
said,
always taught like to just have as little credit as you possibly can.
yeah, and that's a good idea if you're not responsible, but you can just use it for household bills if you want.
Right.
The one thing you have to be careful though is not to overspend and get yourself in a pickle, because if you don't pay the statement balance off in 30 days, whatever you don't pay gets interest charges added to it.
Right. Correct.
And I'll be honest, it's not a bragging thing. It's just a thing that I'll tell you because it's so beneficial to know, but I haven't paid interest on a credit card in probably 16 years. But I get free
Yeah,
money back for
that's-
spending.
That's awesome.
So then at that point, all you have to do is manage your money by making sure you don't overspend. And, you know, with online banking and all of that now, it's very easy to jump on your app and see where your balance is. Cause like,
Yeah. It's
you know,
easier than ever, that's for sure, as far as that goes.
yeah, exactly. And you can sit down together, write all your monthly bills out that you would be able to have it automatically charged to your credit card. And then say to make it easy, say it's $2,000. Take your 2,000, divide it by 4, you've got 500. That's how much money per week you need to set to the side. So when the credit card payment comes up, it's in the bank and ready to pay it.
I like it.
And that makes you budget better too. Every week I'm going to take $500, $750, whatever. And you know, here's something else you can do. And I don't know that it's necessary, but if you're going to set up a budget like that and you get paid weekly or bi-weekly, every time that check comes in, say you're going to put $750 a weekend and you get paid bi-weekly, so that's $1,500. Soon as you get paid, take that $1,500, pay it on the credit card immediately, and do that every paycheck. Now you're budgeted. And you're always
Now we can't spend it.
right. You're not going to spend it. Plus, it's paid on time. Plus, you're making 2 payments a month on the credit card. That does wonders for credit reports.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And for the record, I only pay once a month, but still, it's an easy way to budget. So you're not going, okay, I need 1,700 this month, 1,200 this month. Oops, I needed 1,400. I've shorted myself 200. So all monthly bills divided by 4. It's actually 4.2, but do it by 4. And put at least that much in the bank every week or every paycheck. Get you guys rolling, even less stress.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, easier to manage for sure. Okay. Now that I don't have a voice, what else is going on?
Doing pretty good, I think, right, Lon? Yeah. Just working on, I just got done with my back to school rush. Today's my first day off. So just kind of Catching up on some housework this morning and did some grocery shopping and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Hayden
Mhm.
started school on Wednesday. He's doing good with it so far. He's liking his teachers and stuff and
Good.
working out, staying at the gym, and his mom got her apartment officially right next to the school.
Okay.
So she moved in there and she got a vehicle in her own name and picked that up today.
Good.
So that's good.
Well, how's the marriage going?
What do you think, honey?
It's gone. We just need to be able to get this move done.
Get the what done?
The move. But my brother-in-law hurt his shoulder
Oh.
and they have a doctor's appointment for the baby on the way. And Jamie's gotta take the boys to kind of go pick them up from their different places and
Actually canceled that for today. A little while ago. Yeah, I rescheduled that, figuring to spend more time together, and they're both happy doing what they're doing already today. So
Mhm. And who's that again?
Hayden and Tristan's counseling
Oh, okay.
appointments. I rescheduled them for next week because they were supposed to be at 4 today, but Tristan's actually with his dad today, and Hayden wants to work out with his friends after school. And because of everything that had happened, when Lonnie left for a few days, they were seeing the counselor once a week for a few weeks instead of every 2 weeks. They typically see them every 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
you know, things are kind of settling down, and I didn't think it was necessary for them to go another, you know, a 1 week interval instead. So
Yeah.
they're adjusting pretty well. So I think the 2 weeks will be fine.
Okay. Was there
Um,
anything that we can work on or need to work through? Anything at all?
what you think, Ron?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think for right now, we're just kind of, you know, I can say that I was happy the other day. We've been trying to eat breakfast together before work and
That's good.
listen to a sermon of some sort every day. And we don't always get to do it. This last week we did great with it. This week there was a couple days that definitely didn't work out with our schedules and me just working more than usual. But last week I tried to, like, I was gonna pick out one, and every single one that I was going to pick, Lonnie already listened to, like, the day before. Like, he just went on a crazy day of just listening to everything he could get his hands on while he was driving at work. So it's just nice to see that he's like really, really putting in a big spiritual effort right now. So
You know, that's funny you say that because I was going to say next, I want to hear something good about your spouse this
oh
week.
really?
Yeah. And you just answered the question before I even shot it out there. Hey, Lonnie, is there anything this queen of yours has done this week that you can compliment like she just did?
Absolutely not. No, just kidding.
Well, session over.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie typically does things throughout the week all the time, you know. I could run down a list of things that she does on a regular basis, but I would just say she's just been, well, it's been a tough couple weeks for her because it was back to school week.
Yeah.
And she cuts kids' hair, and then, not to put her business on Front Street, but it's that time right now. So she was going through a lot of, you know,
emotional ups and
Emotional
downs
ups
with
and
the boys
downs.
going back to school too. And
Yeah.
kids going to school. So I mean, she's been pretty much, you know, up and down a little bit in her feels and everything. But I would just say that, you know, she still perseveres, comes home and, you know, does things around the house and, you know, is definitely acknowledging the fact, because Jamie doesn't usually, it's not typical for her to be that way. It's like every once in a great while. during this time, or during that time, or whatever, but she's been acknowledging the fact that she knows that she is, and will, if she approaches you one way, she'll come back and say, I'm sorry, just I'm emotional right now and everything else, so I would say that's a good thing, that
Yeah.
she's, she gets it and understands it.
We did have a pretty good moment too the other night. We both got home around the same time, and I had a super hard day at work. And I was like, Lonnie, I ended up just sitting on the end of our bed for 10 minutes and doing nothing when I told you I was going to take a shower. And then I would make us sandwiches. I said, can you make us sandwiches while I take a shower? So I don't have to do that right now. And he was like, really? Blah, blah, but so he went in the kitchen to start doing it, and he kind of like slammed some stuff around a little bit, but not on purpose. It just was the way that he was just trying to get dishes out, and it was loud. And I was like, oh my goodness, something, and he got a little upset that I reacted to the noise because I was just super overstimulated from my day and everything. And he went in our room and like laid down like he was going to go to bed and just kind of give up on the day at that point. So I went in our room and was just like, I was like, are you going to bed right now? And he said, yes. I walked out of our room and asked him if he wanted me to turn the light off. And then I went back instead and said, okay, I'm turning the light on, honey. And I sat down and I said, I'm hoping that I can have a conversation with you without either of us getting emotional and upset, and just be able to say what's on my mind. And he's like, okay, and I said, I've had such a tough day, and I've been super emotional the last few days anyway. And there's been a couple of times that I tried to make a connection and it didn't really feel like it was working out. And now, I was really looking forward to tonight to be able to sit down and relax with you and spend some time together and have a meal together. And just, this is what I've been looking forward to basically, and now you're going to go to bed and I'm just going to be alone again. I spend a lot of time alone when I'm not at work. And I'm like, it would be awesome if we could just try to start over and just basically, that was the gist of my, like, do you think maybe we can continue on with our night?
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, and actually he got up. We had dinner together and we watched a really great movie and we had a good talk. And it was just nice that we were able to work through that moment. Like that would have caused a big issue for us. It would have been an emotional thing, like me just accusing him of always being miserable and him accusing me of being so sensitive. And he's trying to get away from the situation so we don't have an argument, but I'm chasing him to have an argument, is how we typically would have ended up having that conversation. So it was good. I thought it was good. Did you?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Especially through a time when I'm working way more than I'm typically used to. And I was already having an emotional week, and I had a couple of kids at work, John, like specifically, if you could say a little prayer for a girl named Ann Everett is her name, that I saw yesterday that was clearly extremely neglected. I know she does not have a good living environment at all. She was absolutely filthy. Her hair took me hours to finish.
Wow.
It was so sad. Like, it was on my heart. I almost cried at work a few times, and it just like threw my whole vibe off and just made me really, really sad for just all these kiddos, right? In this world that are just have to live like that. Like, sometimes I found myself in my feels a lot this week about how much other people are suffering all around us, and we can't do much about it. So I guess, that kind of is where the whole, Lonnie feeling like I'm in my head a lot with my thoughts this week and just super emotional. Back to school week is sometimes, all the time. It's the time when you see parents bring their kids in because they know if they go to school with like matted hair or dirty, Child Protective Services is going to be notified. So we always see kids like that right before school starts, and it just is always really hard on me. It breaks my heart.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's gotta be rough.
It is. It is rough, and it makes me just, sad and also appreciative of the life that we do have and wanting us to feel good about the lives that we do have. Because I sometimes I just look around and I'm like, we do all this complaining, we do all of this just creating this negative emotion or environment when really we're just stealing our own joy. If we
Mhm.
would just learn to be happy with what we have and give our worries and strifes to God, we would
Yeah,
be so much better off and be able to enjoy this journey. We're just in this part of our journey right now. It's not an
yeah,
easy path, but it is our path. And we do have so much to be thankful for. And we're so blessed.
yep. As a matter of fact, that one thing I was gonna
Okay.
encourage you guys to do is make sure you're really focused on God's order. Each of you as priority, and it's not about you, it's about the other, and making sure
Yeah.
that your priority is the other one first. Well, God, everybody knows that's the understood, but each other first, your marriage to protect it, keep boundaries around it, and stay unified.
Yeah. I think another good thing we had going on this week is just me checking in with Lonnie. Um, I know it's like too much information, but just trying to make sure that his needs are met, even though I'm super tired or whatever. I have made an effort in that. And in turn, me being like super nervous about like we have the Tuesday before every back to school start year, because here, I don't know how it is in Kentucky, but here where we live in New York, pretty much all the kids start within like 2 days of each other. So
Hmm.
everybody starts at the same time pretty much. So we have a day of the week that's definitely like the busiest day of the entire year. And I was pretty nervous about that day. And Lonnie really, really took the time to like really listen to my concerns about that and really made an effort to have like an in-depth conversation about what I can do to help myself, get prepared. And he's like, Jane, you're the type of person that when you're nervous about something or you're stressed about if we're going to move or if we have a big thing we have to do soon or there's something on your mind, you make yourself sick with anxiety. Like literally, I don't sleep well. I get dehydrated, it's on my mind. And then I end up getting physically sick. I always get like the flu or hurt my sciatic nerve or do something like right around the time because I just stress myself out so much, you know?
Yeah,
And you wouldn't really know it outwardly that I'm that super stressed, but it's just my mind is constantly running. So he was like, just giving me all these little tips about make sure we're going to bed on time, Jane. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Get up and with enough time so that you can still, listen to the stuff you like to with their sermons and have a healthy breakfast and pray on it. Pray in the morning, pray at night before you go to bed that God's going to help you get through these days. Pep talk yourself, listen to some fun music, get yourself in the mood, just all he had a lot of great tips of just really made me feel like I was super heard and that
that's
he actually really cared about, you know, what I was going through in that moment. So
yeah.
that was really nice too.
It's nice to have life breathed into you, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt really, really supported. So
Yeah. That's one thing I've told couples. You have two options with your spouse, and that's it. You either breathe life into them or you suck the life out of them.
wow, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Pick one. Are you sucking the life out of your spouse or are you breathing life into your spouse? Seriously, just think about it on your own right now without answering out loud. What are you doing?
Yes, so true.
So that I think the problem with marriage that we really run into a lot is that people have this misconception that marriage is about me. And that's simply not true, but it is true. And I love to say that because people are like, what? It's not about you, it's about your spouse, which means it is about you because if you focus on your spouse, you learn how to serve, you learn how to be selfless, and you grow. All of those
Yeah.
things happen to you if you do marriage the right way. Marriage can help you grow, mature, flourish, and see Jesus in ways you've never seen him before, or it can kill you if it's not done the right way. suck the life out of you.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
So Jesus, I mean, you talked about taking care of Lonnie's needs. I think that's beautiful because and I'm assuming you said you didn't want to give TMI,
Yeah,
but we're adults here. I'm assuming you mean sexual. And if that's the case, good for you. Because
yeah,
in that
it was,
moment,
yeah.
you were in complete obedience to God's word, where you are to be a good steward of his body. And you were serving him according to God's word by being selfless, regardless of how you felt. You put his
Yeah,
needs above yours. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You grew in that moment because you learned in that moment, I'm going to serve regardless of how tired I am. And I mean, serve
right.
in a godly way. That's what that whole
Yeah,
scripture's about. And
right,
you
exactly. And I
landed
want
it.
him to feel loved and appreciated, and
That's
because he
right.
is, you know,
That's right.
and
How'd that make you?
Even if it's every other month or
yeah, right.
Every other
Even if it's
month?
every other month or so, he said.
How did you accomplish that? I'm kidding. Um, but no, that's beautiful. That's taking yourself out of the picture and not, that's the feelings thing. I don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do. And Lonnie, I hope you have that attitude toward her because she wasn't worried about, you'll see it in the book. It's just the way I put it. If you're only worried about self-gratification, you're doing it the wrong way.
Yes, that's definitely something that we're both really wonderful about. It's never been a problem for us
Good,
at all,
good.
you know.
Yep.
It's so, and Lonnie will tell you all the time, if we're just going to be adults about it, when it comes to that part of marriage that is important spiritually as well, it's never about quality, it's frequency.
hmm
Quality, it's never about the quality isn't the problem, it's the quantity, right, Lonnie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was asked one time, how often do you think sex should occur in marriage? And I said, now I'm a man, I get women are
As much
different
as possible. Yeah.
as much as possible. Every other
I
day
know.
at minimum is my response, if it's possible. I understand life circumstances. You can't throw a generalized blanket over everything. Every night would be great. It's just not possible for the most part, but I would say every other night because it's another way to connect with your spouse. And in my mind, you can't connect enough with your spouse. There's just
Hmm.
not enough of it. And when you've got the spiritual aspect, the emotional aspect, and then you add that into it and you're serving each other in the bedroom, I mean, come on. It doesn't get any more beautiful than that.
amen, brother, preach.
As long as the emotional connection's first.
That's what's important. Yeah. As far as that goes.
Yeah. And you'll see it all laid out in Godly Strong, but we've talked about the Genesis 2:24 law of order, but they're all in the same verse. Sex is mentioned last. It's not any less important than emotional, but it can't be before emotional. Because if you guys are going through a crisis and all you guys have in your relationship is a sexual relationship and no emotions, your marriage can fall apart really fast if that's all you have. However, if you have that great emotional connection where you're the best of friends and you're constantly investing each other and pursuing each other, you can make it through anything
Hmm.
because you're united. It just so happens that the sexual, physical, intimate thing is just a cherry on top. It's just the bow on the present, a beautiful gift that celebrates marriage and the uniqueness and the oneness that you have. But it's never going to be God's way. It's never going to be the fulfillment and fulfill the purpose God has for sex if it lacks the emotional connection. Otherwise,
True.
it's just sex. That's it. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
I love my calling.
I know you do. You do
I
a great
do.
job with it.
But thank you. It's such, I have become burdened because of the calling. And when I say burden, I feel the weight on my shoulders because I study so much about marriage and see the way it's supposed to happen. And the more knowledge I get about it, the more I see people operating in error. And
Mhm.
I see families in disarray. I see children paying the penalty, and my heart breaks.
Yeah, I get that so much. I
And
feel like I have been growing a lot spiritually also lately, which is making me feel more sensitive and emotional about the things I see around me.
yeah,
For sure. For sure. So I
well,
really get that.
well, one of my clients, that's actually the clients I have right after you guys. You might eventually meet them, and they're like you guys. They don't mind if I keep the confidentiality clause. So if you ever meet them, you'll figure it out probably with the details I'm about to give, but they don't care. They said if it helps somebody else, that's fine. We don't care. Just like you said. But
Mhm.
she's not the biological parent of his two kids. They, when they married, only had them every once in a while, but now they have full custody. And this girl literally started to get almost anxiety ridden because she was like, I don't want my time with him to be cut down to nothing. I said, we'll work on that. That's not a problem. But here's what happened. He said something that Jamie said one time. I have to make up for the past for my kids. And he got the same exact answer that I gave Jamie. Stop. Stop right now. That's dangerous. And I went through my whole spiel. When I showed them that marriage is to be held in honor among all scripture, and I did my whole PowerPoint presentation with them, she looked at him and said, because I said, marriage is before your kids. And she stopped and said, are you going to be able to do that?
Mm.
And that brought up a whole new topic. And I explained to him, like I've talked to you guys about, everything to make sure it's in God's order. Because if you put it in God's order, it's going to work. It's just that simple. And here's what happened. They told me last week, since he has made her priority, she feels incredibly special. She feels included. She doesn't feel like the cast out. And their kids have changed in the positive. They said that the kids have really, there's been a big difference in their kids' demeanor. And I said, you know why, right? You're a united front. Because he would say to her at sometimes, they're my kids. I'll deal with them. You do you. Now he
Mhm.
just annihilated her and took the side of his kids. And once he stopped doing that, now they discuss things before decisions are made. And I told her, I said, look, if he makes a decision you don't like, your role as a wife is to support him. If you don't like it, take it behind closed doors and discuss it.
Mhm.
But it's gotten to the point to where he's changed so much that they don't really have that conflict anymore. It's, look, I trust you to make the right decision. You make it. And she might not like it, but she supports him now. They have grown so close together. Let me tell you a story about them last week. One of the it's probably the funniest moment I've ever had in coaching. They were having an intense discussion last week. They were dealing with some stuff. And of course, I worked with them. And I said, okay, my next couple is in the waiting room. I have got to go. And they're like, okay, whatever. They thought they signed off of Zoom. And I hear her say, I thought that went really well. He said, yeah, me too. And then she said, you want to make out now? And I sat here and I went, I heard that. And
Oh my gosh, that is
those
hilarious.
two lost it. They were in tears from laughter. And I said, look, dude, you go do your business. I'm all for it, but please sign off before that happens. Okay. It was just a hilarious moment. It was awesome.
That is so funny.
But that's what it's supposed to be like. They were like teenagers. All right, you want to go make out now? Well, heck yeah, let's go. That's the way it's supposed to be. Teenagers.
Yeah, they're supposed to be fun and exciting and loving and,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And that's what I said to Lonnie actually the other night when he got upset and went to bed and I went in there and I was like, I want us to have fun. together, you know, and he's
Yep.
like, he was like, I do too. And so he got back up and, you know, we moved on with our night. So that was good.
Yeah,
It was
and if
very
Lonnie was too tired at that moment or aggravated, and the fact that he put himself to the side and got out of bed and went and watched movies with you and did
it
all that stuff,
to me, John, that he did that, you know,
that's the way
because
it's
I
supposed to be.
typically stubborn he is when he gets upset, it takes a long time for him to cool down.
Yep, I get
But
it.
he pushed that, you know, I hope he didn't just push it to the wayside to come aboard another time, but you know, hopefully he let it go completely and we were able to have a good night over it.
Yep.
So
Way to go, Lonnie.
said, way to go, Lonnie.
Yeah, you know, I tried.
Hey, as long as I'm hearing that, it can always be worked through. But it takes two,
We do love each other a little bit.
no doubt. No doubt. And you know, honestly, the passions of arguments and stuff, it's because you care about the other.
Yeah,
You
we've
know,
realized that too.
we have a
I've realized a
desire
lot
to,
of
huh?
times. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Well, we have a desire to be connected to our spouse, and when things aren't going good, we get upset. And the only other time it's not about passion for your spouse is when you're so selfish, you're mad because you didn't get your way.
Mm,
But other than that, you want to be connected, and when things aren't going well, it does upset you because you care so much for that person.
yes. I realized years ago that sometimes Lonnie's overreactions have definitely been because he is like hyperly concerned about me being upset with him. He doesn't like a lot of times we've talked about it. Now we can talk about it, but you know, in the past, it's been more of like a little bit of a tough guy attitude. Like, I don't care if you're upset, you know.
Mhm.
But actually, the truth is sometimes he's reactive because he really cares
Yep.
that I'm upset.
Well,
And
he cares about unity and peace in the home.
yeah, he does.
I mean, that's obvious. Now, how do we get there? Well, it's called compromise and working together for the better of the other. That's how it happens.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, John,
Listen,
you should get some relaxation in for a few minutes before your 4 o'clock one. I think we're doing pretty good today.
okay. Feels like I haven't talked to everybody forever since we didn't do anything Monday night.
I've like went into a panic mode at 7:15 on Monday night, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's Labor Day.
Yeah, I actually saw where one Lance, Lisa's husband, he actually signed
Uh-huh.
in. I got a notification he signed in, and I was like, well, they must have signed out before I heard them say no Labor Day. But and I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here. I could use some major prayers right now.
Okay,
I am
absolutely.
I am struggling worse I've ever struggled in my life.
Okay. Is everything okay physically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have stuff going on right now that I feel lost. I'm confused, and I'm just struggling. And I was talking to Dave before you guys signed on. He said, "Do you think you're in a good mental enough state to do this?" I said, "I'm fine. I don't quit. I am not a quitter. And I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm called to do because I'm struggling. But I know you guys well enough, and I need as many prayers as possible
Okay.
because I don't want to talk about it. It's just I'm dealing with something right now that is beyond I know God's got me. He's already sent me a prophetic word yesterday. I shared it with my mom. She cried. I shared it with my sister. She cried. I shared it with Dave. He got chills. So God's got me. He's already made it very clear.
Mm.
But the struggle is real. I've been through a lot in my life, and now I'm dealing with probably the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. And the funny thing is, that was the prophetic word that was given to me yesterday. It said, you are now on the other side of the toughest thing that you've probably ever dealt with. I'm like, wow,
Wow.
that started off with a bang. So I'm just asking my friends and everybody to keep me in prayer for a while, because um, when you're
Yep.
in ministry, and this is why I say what I say, when you are in ministry and God's called you to do something and the enemy is threatened by it, he just unleashes an all-out attack. And like I said, I don't want to talk about it. However, I need my armor on. I need my friends praying. And I know I'm going to be okay. I know that for a fact. It doesn't change the struggle,
Mm.
you know, because I'm quite emotional. I'm quite sensitive. And I care a lot about a lot of things. And just this past 2 weeks, I could feel my body starting to change due to the stress
Mm.
of things that I can't control. And so I could feel my body, in a sense, it felt like it was breaking down. So anyway, that's all I'll say about it. I just ask if you guys could pray, because I'm really going through a battle right now.
Okay, absolutely.
You got it.
Thank you.
Struggle is real, bro.
It
What?
is.
I said, struggle is real, bro.
Yeah, it is. You know, and I don't even have enough energy to go make me a sandwich.
You took the joke right out of my mouth.
Well, stop chewing on my sandwich.
Mhm.
No, yeah.
Well, you don't have to you don't have to tell me the details or anything, but if you want to talk, you know I'm in the truck all week long and I ain't doing nothing but driving.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I mean, I might not have any advice for you that you already know, but at least you know, even if you have the time, you just want to talk about some stuff, just to you know, on different topics or whatever.
I
You know,
appreciate it.
find yourself sitting there and you're stressed out and you want to talk about something, have a few laughs.
Yeah,
You know, I know I'm not that funny to you, but I'll try.
yeah, I'll give you another chance.
All right.
Nah, it's been one of those where I feel good, and 10 minutes later I'm bawling my eyes out. 10 minutes later I'm mad. 10 minutes later I'm back to feeling good again. 10 minutes later God's got me. 10 minutes later I'm bawling my eyes out. Draining. But
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
trying through all of this to learn that God's got me no matter what, and
mhm.
his strength is shown in my weakness. And I've always, until the last couple of years, I've never been willing to show any weakness, because when you go through the stuff I've been through, people have a tendency to lean on you.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, I can't be weak. I've got to be strong for these people. And
Mhm.
I was talking to a brother of mine, Christian brother of mine out in Arizona, and he said, John, it's okay to show weakness. It's actually scriptural. And he said, don't be prideful about this. I'm not really prideful. I just want people to see a life that shows Jesus, and I can make it through all of this stuff because of him. I don't want to show that I'm struggling, because in my mind at that time, it was like, well, where's your Jesus now?
Mm.
And that's kind of what my mindset was. And I remember a friend of mine's son had told Tanya one time, he said, I love that guy. Nothing seems to bother him. And that was one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten.
I've
Because I
always
was,
gotten that compliment too, but then when you do feel bothered by something, you almost feel like a failure when you have the expectation on you, and that's not always good for us.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just you guys will probably, I'll probably share it at some point, but I'm in that place at the moment. I don't want to talk about it, but
Yeah, I totally
it's,
understand that.
um, I know God's got me. His glory will be seen through it all. But
Yep,
I'm just,
absolutely.
I feel like I'm in a really deep valley at the moment, but he walks with me through the valley of the shadow of death.
Sometimes too, I've realized I heard a story one time that really helped me when my expectation of myself was to like not allow myself to feel sad or that emotion, or like you said, just like you used to not show your weaknesses as much. Sometimes, God works through us and it's that sadness or it's
Hmm.
that story or there's that vulnerability that where the lesson really lies. And I
Yep.
mean, and not the strength, not the, so you
Yep.
never know how you could be touching somebody else or what it would do for you and your healing and stuff if we allow ourselves to have that. Like
Yep.
one time this week that I was having a really tough moment, I was like, I talked to myself and I was like, all right, I'm gonna let myself just really dive into this sadness for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then I'm gonna make a decision to pull myself out.
Yeah.
And it really did work. I mean, at least for that little bit of time, it definitely, I'm starting to realize that we have so much more emotional power when we lean on God and emotional power in ourselves than we even realize until we tap into it and we actually try to have control over that. When
Hmm.
we just like go with the flow, man, I'm a wreck sometimes if I just go with
Hmm.
whatever is happening in my body. But when I do things intentionally, it's almost always better
Yeah.
when I'm
Yeah.
self-aware.
Yeah. I don't, it's a whole new territory for me to be so vulnerable. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to become a little more transparent and a little more vulnerable and more open about my own personal stuff because I'm super private when my personal life is involved. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't tell anybody hardly anything about anything. I
Yeah,
keep,
and I mean our situations are very unique because it's almost like you're calling to be in other people's personal lives and you get to know them on a personal level.
yeah,
But then it's like it's just a weird, like you said a couple weeks ago during our counseling session, it's almost hard sometimes to do what you need to do because you do get close to people and you become friends.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but I feel like we're all at a point in our lives and our growth and everything that we're intelligent emotionally
hmm,
enough that we can separate those things and have and be able to lean on each other in those times of need too, but
yeah,
you know, still
yeah,
value everything you do for us as a coach at the same time. So
yeah.
we're totally here for you.
I thank you for that. You said that story that made me think of a funny scenario. But like, if I don't challenge you, if I don't get in your grill when I think it needs to be done, then what I'm really saying is I don't care enough about you to make you
Yeah.
aware.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I hate,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a comfortable place for me, but I am learning to obey God's instruction that
Yeah.
a kiss from or how's it worded? I'm so exhausted. I can't think. A sharp rebuke from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've read that
And that's in Proverbs.
recently. I just read it.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I think it's in Proverbs actually because
it
I just
is.
read I love Proverbs so much
Me
actually.
too. And it is in Proverbs. And that when Sherry was still alive, I was playing in a band and I wanted to do this battle of the bands. And if we won it, we got to go play in this monster festival in Kentucky. But the band could not use their own musical equipment. We had to use what was on the stage. And the guitar player said, "No, I'm not doing that." I said, "Why?" "Because I want to use my stuff." I said, "But you can't." "Well, then I'm not playing it." And I was one at that time that tried to be so diplomatic about everything. Everybody has an equal say. Let's all talk about it. And Sherry said, everything needs a leader. Are you going to be a leader or not? And she challenged me, and that changed me. That moment changed me. My own wife, in a sense, rebuked me the way I was handling it. And when I sent out an email about, look, I'm going to start making decisions, and I'm sorry if you don't like it, but we need to have a leader. Half the band quit. Not surprisingly, that's musicians. They're a flaky bunch. And that changed me. That completely changed my thought process that everything's got to have a leader. And then, of course, I've started studying the Bible a lot more, and that's just the way it is. So I have to be willing to challenge the people I love to death. And I will do it. And it's not comfortable for me. But here's the story. I used to officiate high school basketball. And now that I'm legally blind, I'm going to do it again because I'm qualified now. But okay, that was funnier than you gave it credit for. I was officiating a girls' high school game down in a place called Glasgow, Kentucky. And this coach would not listen when I told him to stop, and he just kept it up. I teed him up. When a player gets 5 fouls, you have to walk over to the coach and say, Coach, that's 5. Well, that foul I called was her 5th, I think. Then I teed him up. And when I walked over to report the foul, they said, that's 5 fouls. So I walked back over to him and I said, Coach, that's 5. I don't know what it is. And I just, let him be upset, and I walked away. Then I see him at a Christmas tournament. And we were sitting up in these tables on the stage at the school. And I saw him and sat by him. I said, hey, Coach. And just started chatting with him. He said, you know what? This is what I love about you. He said, you don't take anything personal and just leave it on the basketball court. I said, it's not personal. I'm doing my job. I said, I don't dislike you because of the basketball game. That's stupid. And we just sat there and had a good old time. That's kind of the way I thought of that story because of what you said.
Yeah.
Separate personal from professional.
Exactly.
So that's the way I like to be. If I challenge either one of you, it's never personal. And you never know, I might have a really valid reason to challenge you too. So if I don't challenge you, I'm not loving you guys. And I love you guys too much to not challenge you and get you guys to grow where you're supposed to be. Let's grow.
That's right.
So anyway, I'm going to stop there because if I start talking like that more, I'll start getting emotional again. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to be
All
emotional.
right. Well,
Yeah. Well, I want you to have at least 15 minutes to get yourself,
Yeah.
some coffee and be able to chill out for a few minutes before your next
I'm
session.
looking forward to hearing from you this week while I'm at work.
To hearing what from me?
Yeah.
Wow, you must have a boring job.
Yeah.
Well,
Steering wheel on the gas pedal.
you know what Dave told me last night? He said, you're like a huge mentor to me, John. And I said, thanks. This is the product I get from being someone's mentor. This is what I get. This is the product I've produced for being someone's mentor. I said, I quit.
I know. Yeah.
And
Exactly, right?
I had Dave absolutely rolling because that's just, that's my personality. But anyway, I just thought it was hilarious. I don't know why I thought of that saying something to Lonnie. I guess that's what brought it up. Lonnie, you must have a boring job to say you're looking forward to hearing from me. But my parents are in town, and with all this stuff going on, it might not be this week, but I might one day just give you a call when I'm bored.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I have your number on my phone. So
That would be awesome.
all right, guys. If you guys
All
are good
right.
to go,
Well, we'll be thinking of
keep
you and
rocking.
praying for you.
Thank you. I really do need it. So I appreciate it very much.
Yep. We will do that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye, John.
Bye.
Absolutely.